Hey there folks, and welcome back to the BUSR. This is a 6th-week recap for the BUSR Winter Championship, taking our drivers around the world in ACC, iRacing, F1 23 and Dirt Rally 2.0. This week's ACC takes our competitors to Suzuka in the land of the rising sun. The sun, however, would shy away this weekend as drivers would face a wet qualifying session. Anna Foster would set a fast lap, placing her onto provisional pole, with Angus Fender not far behind. However, in the last moments of the session, Ben Gilroy would swoop in to steal pole position. The rev turned worse come race start, but that wouldn't stop Foster from taking the lead into the first corner, with Gilroy and Fender dropping back, having opted to start on the slick tyres in anticipation of clearer weather later on in the race. This decision would mean that they had far less grip than the cars around them, but as the weather started to clear and the track began to dry, their pace was unmatched compared to the drivers that stayed on the wets, Angus Fender getting himself up into second place. The rain would return, pouring even harder than before and flooding the track. That wouldn't stop Josh Lodge from taking the race win, with Angus Fender right on his tail, their battle taken to the end. Ben Gilroy would take P3 after Anna Foster received a time penalty and it would drop her down a place. Next week the drivers head to Paul Ricard for another endurance race. iRacing would take our drivers to Lime Rock Park, back behind the wheel of the open wheel FF1600s. In qualifying it would be Adam Benjamin on pole, with Marley Watson and Ed Haskell fractions of a second behind. Charlotte Perkins and Koch would fail to set a valid lap and round off the grid. The first race would start with Adam Benjamin taking the lead through turn 1, and the top 3 would stick close together through the first lap. Marley Watts would struggle, however, going wide onto the grass multiple times in the race, dropping down to last, but he'd come back through when Koch spun and collected Ed Haskell. Adam Benjamin would go on to take the race win, with Watts and Perkins battling it out to the very end, Watts coming out on top. The feature race would have Watts take the lead early on, but he would once again push too hard to go wide on cold tyres, this time being punished hard with his car quickly finding the barriers and putting him out of the race. There would be great battles, with Perkins and Haskell switching positions multiple times. Koch would find himself facing the wrong way, and once again Haskell would be collecting the wreck. He'd be able to link his car back to the pits and resume the race shortly after. It'd once again be Adam Benjamin taking the win in this race, this time with Charlotte Perkins not far in the chase, and Ed Haskell finding himself on the podium after all the troubles he faced earlier on. Next week the drivers will find themselves back behind the wheel of their street stocks around Thompson Speedway. This week the BUSR returned to America with a race at the Miami International Autodrome around the Hard Rock Stadium. Qualifying gave the drivers a bit of a surprise with the tricky intermediate conditions, the first entirely wet session of the season. Early on in the session, Cameron Searle was setting some great lap times while drivers behind were struggling to put it all together. However, by the end of the session, Dassin was absolutely flying, constantly improving on their lap times, getting pole by some of the greatest margins we've seen all season. Cameron followed behind in second, with Matty rounding out the top 3. Unlike the qualifying session, the race was forecast to be bone dry all the way through. The battle for first started as soon as the lights went out, with Cameron and Dassin battling for the lead for the entire first lap until the VSC was brought out after Crappy Paddy had a moment. The VSC was very soon swapped out for a full course safety car, which would see Dassin and Jareki pit for new tyres. The safety car would end on lap 4, where Cameron would get an amazing safety car restart, putting heaps of time between himself and the car behind. During Dassin's recovery through the field, he would get hit by Jareki after a mistake in the braking for turn 17, hampering the progress that had been made so far. By lap 13, a second safety car would be out after an incident between GSJW and SG the YG would see them retire from the race. This would see the majority of the grid pit for new tyres. On lap 17, the safety car came in the top 3 on hard tyres and Joe on mediums, putting them in a great position to move up the order. Once the drivers had settled, it was Cameron and Joe trading positions to the lead and pulling away from the rest of the pack. There would be one final safety car on lap 25 after a mistake from mids out of turn 17. This would once again see the majority of the grid pitting for fresh tyres. However, Cameron had gained a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car conditions. Geek opted to stay out on his old hard tyres and inherited the lead. He would take the grid racing for the final 2 laps and immediately feel pressure from Cameron. Joe would later join the battle through turn 10, making it 3 wide into the break of turn 11, with Joe being the big winner and taking him on to win the race. Matty would be promoted to P2 with a great drive after Cameron was given a 20-second time penalty for not serving his drive-through. Tom Hug would make a return to the podium in P3 after an incredible drive. Next week the drivers would head to Austria and the Red Bull Ring for the final sprint race of the season. In Dirt Rally, our competitors headed to a sunny Spain in the Catalan-tested La Figuera, and as they headed towards this event, the curtains fell quickly and decisively on 2 of our 3 rally championships. However, with the twists and turns and the challenges of that Group B rear-wheel drive machine, which driver would come out on top? One driver that would not was Charlotte Perkins. The Coventry alum was only one of the starters not to finish the event, writing off her Opel Mantra on the rally-ending power stage. She had been set for a top 10 finish, battling hard with Ed Haskell over 8th at the time of her exit. Further up the order, Adam Benjamin was had a blistering time in the power stage that was second fastest among a fiercely competitive pack aboard his Lancia 037 Evo 2. The Hertfordshire alumni, who has competed in all 4 of BUSR's disciplines on offer, fought off an illustrious list of drivers from all our franchises for the second fastest time at an event that is considered to be the closest to circuit racing while still being rallying. It was his stablemate Penelope Dobbins who would be runner-up overall in a BMW M1 Pro car. A mistake in the power stage cost her dearly, as despite her victory in the alumni class, it would mean that her battle with newcomer Dasher would carry on for another round. However, with a lead of 29 points and a maximum of 57 left available to Dasher this season, a good result in Sweden should seal another rallying title in the alumni class. But there were no surprises with who came out on top. Doomskull was dominant from the outset in his 037, with a 3 minute 52 in the first test being the only time in less than 4 minutes. It was a clean sweep of the stages too, including an impressive time in the power stage that was 15 seconds clear of the next car. With a victory over 2 minutes in length, it's hardly surprising that the Exeter driver has sealed both the students and overall titles with 2 rounds to spare. In the student class, Matty Moo would only be 1 point shy even if he scored maximum points in the final 2 rounds and Doomskull scored nil. However, the overall championship standings are even more impressive. Doomskull is 71 points clear there of Penny Dobbins, showing the utter domination that Doomskull has had in the rally events. It is close behind him though, with Matty Mumu only 2 points behind Penny, with 2 rounds left to go. The final 2 rounds of the season will be purely wintry events, with Sweden and 2-litre World Rally cars up next for our competitors. And that concludes this week's events at the BUSR. If you're interested in racing and are a university student, then head on down below or follow busr.gg/discord to join our Discord, where you can find more information out on how to join us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.